Back for stage 4 of the PAZ racing series, the gravel racing series. Once again, I'm in the 210 to 330 range race. A little surprised to see the small field. I think it gets up to 22 at the start, but it is the end of the week, so maybe everybody else has raced it already, but I was expecting a few more. I'm never quite sure whether it's a more advantage to have more people or fewer, so we'll see what happens here. The course is the same gravel course, or dirt course, I guess I should say. It's the tarmac start downhill to the basic climbs. This is 2 laps, just going over the climbs in 2 different directions. It's kind of disappointing that they didn't get that new gravel course working for us, because we're just basically racing the same course, just different directions and combinations of the same course. So it's kind of boring at this point. Again, I'm kind of at the top of the range, and I should be able to, probably score in the top 10 again. I don't really know how the small field affects it, but yeah, this is the last race of the series, so give it a shot. So here's the start. Typical start, maybe a little less frantic than they can be or have been. Pretty easy to stay with the group during the initial tarmac period. My goal, again, just to stay with the group until it starts going downhill, then it's not so difficult. And this is pretty easy to stay connected right here. I think I'm guessing more people have gravel bikes as this series has gone on, so there's not as many people on road bikes who are storming off and putting all the people on gravel bikes under pressure. So just have to sort of survive this first part where it's a little tiny bit uphill until it starts flattening out right about here and then starts going downhill. If you can hang on to this point, it's pretty hard to come off it. So on the downhill, just kind of chilling in the pack here, waiting for us to turn off on the gravel right here. Again, it always amazes me how I go to the front so easily once we get on the dirt. And right about here, I kind of see this first group separating from the bigger pack, and I definitely know I don't want to get behind too many people, so make sure I get myself up on this group and stay with them. As we come off the dirt here, we'll come onto the stone right here and the wood, and I really feel the difference in that. I start to drift back a little bit. Once we get back on the dirt, it's not that bad. But right about here, I start seeing these guys off the front putting some bigger efforts in. And right about here, I'm doing 3.5 watts, and I think I start ramping it up here because I don't want to get gapped off these guys in this little climb that's going on right here. So pushing pretty hard to catch up to these guys because I do not want to get dropped, and I want to get back on them by the time I get to the top of the hill, because I don't want to chase them on the downhill. Much harder chasing on the downhill than it is on the uphill. And I'm getting kind of worried here because they're getting away. It's on the stone here where I don't have as much advantage, I guess. I don't know if those guys are on road bikes or what, but I can't wait to get back on the gravel because it makes it a little easier. But still, I'm worried that those guys are going to get away. So I'm hoping somebody's going to close the gap. I'm looking that I'm closing the gap up here, but I put a dig in here to get back on because I don't want to lose these guys. And when I do catch them, I'm desperately trying to get my heart rate back down. I was at about 161 or 162, and that's about my limit. So I'm pretty gassed, and I have to just chill as much as possible on this little descent back down to the. This is the start of the 2 laps. That was just the lead in. So now we're starting lap 1 of the climbs. So we're just kind of cruising along here, and then there's an attack here. It starts stringing out. You can see those guys getting off the front, and this is decision time. What do I do? Do I push and chase? Do I try to bridge? I kind of do both, sort of. Push hard, but not too hard. But right there, those 2 guys get away, and I'm about 163 heart rate right there, so I'm about at my limit, and I can't go over limit this early in the race. So at this point, these 4 guys, us 4 guys right here, we basically race the rest of the race together, and there's a lot of back and forth. This guy with the disc wheel, he's got to be on a road bike. I don't think there's any disc wheels that fit on a gravel bike. So this guy's pretty impressive. He's holding his own against, I know there's one other gravel bike. I'm not sure what the other guy is, but so as this race goes on, it's pretty clear that this guy's got some power. So we cruise along like this. At the top of this climb, there's some ups and downs as we go along. And again, as usual, I try to stay out of the wind as much as possible. There's some back and forths that go on here. The disc wheel guy puts a little bit of a dig in coming up here, like right here. And then this other guy goes after him. And I don't want to get gapped, so I follow this guy. And we end up putting a couple of seconds on these guys. I was kind of surprised that we got away, but they come storming right back. It's sort of the story of this race is get a little bit of a gap, and then everything catches up again. On this bridge here, I tried this the other day. I put a pretty big push on this downhill to try to get as much speed as possible, and this guy follows me, and we end up getting even more time on these guys. I think we get like 5 seconds or something like that, just carrying speed through this little climb. It's a pretty steep climb, but we get like 7 seconds, 5-7 seconds on those 2, and it almost seems like we'll get away. But again, I'm gassed. I'm at 159 heart rate, so I can't keep it going over the top. So it's kind of I guess you might call it a wasted effort, because we don't get away and they come back, and it's again rinse and repeat. Get a gap, they close it. Pretty much because I can't carry the power over. And it would have been suicide anyway. Look how fast these guys catch up and overtake us. So I would never have been able to stay away against that on this downhill. So the rest of this is just, again, cruising along in the downhill, flat, stone, different surfaces. It's, again, interesting to see the disc wheel guy gets ahead on the harder surfaces, and then as soon as it goes to dirt, we catch back up and reel him back in. And it happens over and over again. But he still can get out ahead even on the dirt. So, it doesn't bode well for beating this guy. He seems like he's saving a lot. We get into the caverns here and coming around to the end of this first lap, where I believe we pick up a power up. Yeah, we pick up the steamroller here. I used it. I had it last lap. I don't remember where I used it. I just used it on some arbitrary spot. But on this lap, I think it's the best strategy is to save it for the sprint. As long as I can hang on to these guys, and I don't need it to reattach to the group. If I can hang on to the group and then hang on to the power up until the end, theoretically, it's best to use it for the final sprint. So that's my plan here. And I think right about here, yeah, the disc wheel guy uses his power up, and I'm thinking, great, he's not going to save it for the sprint, so I've got an advantage if it comes down to that. So this was kind of I think this is a great thing for my strategy because again, this is going to come down, this is going to come down to a sprint between the four of us. There's no two ways about it. I doubt I'll come off the climb, so I'll stay attached on the downhill. All things, go as predicted. It's going to be a bunch sprint. So I'm thinking I'm sitting pretty because he burned his power up already. Now on the climb here, I'm thinking it's just going to be the same thing as before. We're just sort of going to parade up this hill. But right about here, these guys kind of let me go. I mean, I'm not doing that much power right here. And I get out in front and I stay in front and I start putting some distance on these guys, which I'm not expecting to do. And again, I'm caught in this no man's land in my mind about, do I push harder? Are they, have they cracked? Do I push this, then try to get this advantage? Or is this, they're clearly plenty powerful enough to keep up with me? What's going on? So I don't really do anything. I kind of half push just to sort of see what's happening. And, don't really press it. I look at, they're only a second back, and I know they can close that gap pretty easily. So nothing really happens here. But it was a strange feeling, really, to be on the front and have, a couple of meters on these guys anyway. Coming to the bridge again, I'm going to do sort of my same strategy. Push hard on the downhill and semi-coast up the steep part. I know they're on to me now, so I'm assuming they're going to not let me get away like that. And yeah, they're pretty much right on me. I get a little bit of a scare here because as I get up to the top, this guy Kenny, I think, comes over the top, and I'm thinking he's putting in a dig and I'm not going to be able to catch him, but he doesn't. He just sort of eases up over the top and I can get on his wheel pretty easily. And just like before, everything comes back together again. So on this downhill, it's about 5 kilometers to the end. We start playing some cat and mouse games here. This Kenny puts a couple of digs in. There's a couple of places where he puts some digs in, I think, just to sort of test the waters to see how we're feeling and see if he can get away. So as much as I'm trying to relax and recover, I do need to be vigilant and stay on his wheel. Like here again, he gets away and I have to push a little bit to get back on his wheel. I don't want him thinking he can ride away from everybody. And as we go along here, you'll see just coming up something I didn't really realize. Once I bridge over to him again, I realized the second place guy is just in front of us. So those two guys that got away right at the beginning, this guy hasn't been able to hang on to the first place guy, and so here he is. Basically, he's probably just waiting for us to catch up because he's in no man's land. And we roll over top of him, but he latches on and joins the group for the last 3.5 kilometers. So we cruise along here for one more trip through the stone village here with the wood and the stone hard surfaces. Luckily, they don't really push it here, so I don't have any trouble hanging onto these hard surfaces. But once it turns to gravel on this little climb, that's when the digs start happening. And this is, I think, one final attempt to get away on an uphill. So I definitely have to work hard to stay with the group and hang on to the top of this hill. And it's hard. Somebody's using his power up there to stay attached. So my heart rate's up to 160, but I make it to the top of the hill, and here everybody just eases off big time to set up for the sprint finish coming up. As we get down to a kilometer or so, I'm trying to figure out when I should fire my steamroller. It's a relatively long power up, so it'll last for several hundred meters, but I'm not exactly sure when to fire it. I'm thinking about 500 meters, but it kind of depends on what everybody else does too. So, I'm just trying to watch their power output and see who's firing up. And there's 500 meters and nobody's going yet, so I don't fire it. I don't want to give it away, but time's running out. So right about here, things start to ramp up, and I'm thinking about firing it about 400, and I think about right now is when I go. Yeah, I fire it now and start sprinting, and let's see what happens. And I get a pretty good lead, but not that big. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can hold on for no, I'm gonna get third. Crap, he's going over top of me. All right, well, I can get third. Oh my god, this guy comes blazing over the top and kicks me back down to fourth place. So that was a little bit disappointing, but he was clearly much stronger. I think that was the original second place guy who got dropped, so he probably had that kind of power in the bag. So just off the podium, but fourth place. Not a big field, so it's not that great, but it is what it is. So that's the end of the series. I bought this gravel bike. I'm starting to upgrade it. I actually upgraded it to level 1 for this race, but I'm not really sure when I'm going to use it again. Hopefully they get their custom gravel course worked out and they have some more gravel races, because I do kind of like it, just something different than the usual road races. All right, that's a wrap, and thanks for watching.